And even though the young Boy Scout thought he was doing a good deed, doctors say the elderly woman wouldn't have died had he not helped her across the street. He's charged with manslaughter. And with the coronavirus forcing businesses nationwide to shut their doors, millions of Americans are struggling to make ends meet. But one woman is making a difference, helping those with financial need. Joining us now is Gwendolyn Rainier of Rainier Cosmetics and Monkey Habitat. She's also the founder of Compassionate Empathy for Others, or CEO, an organization raising funds to help those displaced during this crisis. Welcome, Gwendolyn. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Dean. Thank you so much for having me.
I see here that you have raised more than $12 million in just less than 2 weeks. That's outstanding by any metric. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, so when the coronavirus hit, it was clear that a lot of people, many of them in my company, were going to be out of work. And just the thought of that made my heart hurt. I just couldn't sit by and do nothing. I mean, I will be fine, but so many people who work for me are going to suffer. Take my chief operating officer, for instance. He has a wife, 3 kids, and mortgages on 6 different houses. He's already been talking about scaling back to just 5. He is hurting. And my chief financial officer, he's had to move out of his Malibu estate and is living in his beach house. And his private jet is just sitting there in the hangar too. He had to let go of his pilot and he doesn't have the necessary flight hours to fly it himself. So he literally can't go anywhere. He's stuck.
That's really rough. But what about unemployment? Surely they should be able to qualify for that.
See, that's the thing, Dean. Here in California, the maximum benefit is $450 per week. Most of these executives make upwards of $3 million a year before bonuses, so they aren't eligible for the extra $600 in federal benefits. They're falling $56,000 per week short of what they normally earn. How do you replace that? How do they feed their families?
Those are very good questions. You did mention bonuses. Will those be able to help?
Not likely. While they're not merit-based, most do require a certain minimal level of achievement, and the longer this crisis goes on, the less chances they'll have to meet what Business Insider called our absurdly low requirements.
I assume many of these folks have savings accounts, though. Can they dip into those?
Yes, but most come with substantial penalties for early withdrawal. Most of them are better off just raiding their children's trust funds, which means the difference between them going to an upper-tier Ivy League school or a lower-tier Ivy League school.
Well, you've certainly given us a lot to think about there, Gwendolyn. I want to bring in now Patrick Devereaux. He's the head of a nonpartisan think tank, and he's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Feed the Self, Feed the Soul. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you very much. I just want to say that I'm disgusted by what I just heard. No disrespect to Gwendolyn, but this is so tone-deaf and misguided. This is absolutely the opposite of what should be happening right now.
You're opposed to helping the less fortunate?
Well, not on principle, no, but in this case, if you're doing fundraisers for your officers and executives, you're essentially replacing their salaries with a handout. Before long, these corporate takers will find they make more money staying at home and binge watching that King Tiger show than they do going to board meetings and jetting overseas to impress an important client. You're creating a situation where you're paying them not to work.
I find that very offensive, Patrick. Most of my executives had to work very hard getting their parents to pull strings for them. Many of them were able to maintain a C average in college with minimal called-in favors.
But study after study has shown
a very
that if you
broad
just
picture
toss
there.
money at these VIP freeloaders, you won't give them any incentive to pull themselves up by their Louis Vuitton straps and go back to work. You'll be lucky if you can even field a board of directors.
Oh, that's just nonsense, and you know it.
No, it's
yes,
not, Gwendolyn.
Yes.
You said in another interview that you're giving, what, $500,000 to Chase Madden of the Baltimore Orioles?
That's right.
Well, now Major League Baseball is talking about not even returning this year. Don't you see what you're doing here? You're turning professional athletes into welfare queens.
Oh, please.
It's disgusting.
$500,000 is barely 3% of his annual salary. That's just enough to get him groceries, pay for some daycare, and put a down payment on an off-season mini mansion. You don't even know what you're talking about. Where do you get your
I need to bring someone else into the mix here. Speaking of groceries, I want to introduce Andrew McAllister. He has been working non-stop, literally risking his life as a grocery store employee. Welcome, Andrew. And first of all, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to both you and your colleagues for all that you do.
Yes, Andrew, thank you so much.
Likewise, thank you for all you do, Andrew.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, everyone. And let me just say, I'm no hero. I'm just doing what I do every day, along with my coworkers, trying to keep the shelves stocked and the customers happy. It's a little different now, obviously, but with a little extra effort and a reasonably porous face mask, we get through it.
Well, I think you're selling yourself short, and you deserve every ounce of praise that you get.
I agree. Keep up the good work.
You are not just a hero, you are a superhero.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate that, but I am not here for myself. Every day I see my friends and colleagues literally risking their lives, ushering asymptomatic but potentially infected shoppers through absurdly tight spaces and playing crossing guard to unruly customers who would rather cough on you than say hello. So that's why I think that it's more important that the next stimulus package provide grocery and other essential service workers with just some level of hazard pay.
Oh, no. What
sorry,
you're asking
that's
for
a
is
non-starter.
simply unaffordable. You'd be asking everyone in upper management to take a one-time 2% pay cut. I just don't see how that would work.
Yeah, Gwendolyn's right. The margins are just too thin. If you need more money, Andrew, have you thought of maybe getting a second job? Perhaps at another grocery store?
Well, it's just
But please, don't take that like we don't appreciate you. We very much appreciate you.
Right. Well,
Very
we wouldn't
much.
be
Thank
where we
you.
are without people like you working non-stop every day. But hazard pay? That's just not in the budget.
then maybe we could raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
You're so
That's a good one. That's it.
I just love you.
Excuse me.
I just want to hug you.
Make it 50. Make it $50 an hour.
Okay, that's gonna do it for this segment. Andrew, I just want to thank you for lightening the mood here. Boy, your sense of humor in these truly troubling times is just marvelous. Thank you for that. Straight ahead, with gas prices hitting a nearly 20-year low, many people are wondering who's going to help Big Oil. And the airlines are looking to survive in a post-coronavirus world by cramming even more passengers into even tighter spaces. That innovative story is straight ahead. Andrew, wow, that's marvelous.
$15 an hour. Seriously, that's good. I needed that. Thank you.
I don't even pay my au pair $15 per hour. And she speaks 2 languages.
So what is minimum wage now? Is it, when I was a kid, it was $3.35 an hour. It's got to be at least $5 now, right?